Congressman Ron Paul of Texas, the 1988 Libertarian Party nominee for president, who is currently serving his 10th term in Congress.
Congressman Paul, to you, on the subject of one of the core debates in the party over social issues, gay marriage. You've been quoted as saying any association that's voluntary should be permissible in a free society, and you've expressed your opposition to a constitutional ban on gay marriage. Many of your rivals on that stage disagree. Why are they wrong?
Okay, well, if you believe in federalism, it's better that we allow these things to be left in the state. My personal belief is that marriage is a religious ceremony, and it should be dealt with religiously. The state really shouldn't be involved. The state, both federal and state-wise, got involved mostly for health reasons 100 years or so ago. But this should be a religious matter. All voluntary associations, whether they're economic or social, should be protected by the law. But to amend the Constitution is totally unnecessary to define something that's already in the dictionary. We do know what marriage is all about. We don't need a new definition or argue over a definition and have an amendment to the Constitution. To me, it seems so unnecessary to do that. It's very simply that the states should be out of that business, and the states should be able to handle this. The federal government should be out of it. There's no need for the federal government to be involved in this. You can accomplish this without waiting 5 or 10 or 15 years. You can the authority can be put in the states by mere voting in the Congress.
Congressman Paul, you say that insurance companies and government programs have made health care simply unaffordable, and you objected so strongly to Medicaid that as a doctor, I'm told, you simply treated patients on your own, at your own expense. Is charity the way we should provide health care for the poor right now? And how are you going to encourage doctors to do that, primary care doctors to do that, when their salaries have been declining for more than a decade?
Well, we've had managed care now for about 35 years. It's not working, and nobody's happy with it. The doctors aren't happy, the patients aren't happy. Nobody seems to be happy except the corporations, the drug companies, the HMOs. You take care of poor people by turning the medical care back into the system where people have some choices. Now, we have a mess because we have a lot of people very dependent on health care, but I have the only way we can afford to take care of people now because we're going broke. We're $500 billion going into debt every single year, and we have a foreign policy that's draining us. I say take care of these poor people. I'm not against that, but save the money someplace. The only place available for us to save it is to change our attitude about running a world empire and bankrupting this country. We can take care of the poor people, save money, and actually cut some of our deficit. So you don't have to throw anybody on the street, but long term you have to move toward the marketplace. You cannot expect socialized medicine of the Hillary brand to work, and you can't expect the managed care system that we have today, which promotes and benefits and rewards the corporations, because it's the drug companies and the HMOs and even the AMA that comes to us and lobbies us for this managed care, and that's why the prices are high. It's only in medicine where technology has raised prices rather than lowering pricings.
Congressman Paul, you're against the Iraq War. So is Senator Clinton. So what are the differences between you?
Well, there's a very big difference, and I think the American people, if we as a party realize this and understand it, 70-some% of the people in America want the war over with. They're sick and tired of it, and they want our troops to come home. Now, Senator Clinton has nothing new to offer. She's endorsing the same policy. She said that the troops would be there for another 5 years, continue to build this embassy that's going to be bigger than the Vatican, continue to build 14 air bases that are going on there, these private bases going on there, and never change. We in this party have to realize the American people are sick and tired of big government overseas, an empire we can't maintain, the bankruptcy of this country, and also the attack on our personal civil liberties. We don't have privacy left anymore, and Hillary Clinton offers no solution to that, neither does any of the Democrats, and we're not doing a very good job either. If we don't recognize that, we don't have a chance, because we need to get back to the basics, believe in the Constitution, believe in the rule of law, and not allow our government to spend endlessly and bankrupt this country.
Programs are threatening bankruptcy. They indeed are, as countless economists have advised us. If they were to be kept in their present form, it is argued that they could swamp the private economy with unacceptable levels of taxation. Congressman Paul, your thoughts on these issues?
It's a mess, and it proves that the government is not very good at central economic planning, even for retirement. But the money was taken from the people with good intention, and we should do our best to return it to those that have taken it. But we need to allow the young people to just flat out get out of the system, because I'll tell you what, if you have the government managing these accounts, it's not going to work. And the other thing that you have to consider if you're really serious about protecting people's incomes, each and every one of us, is how are you going to protect the dollar? If you don't have the dollar maintaining its value, no matter where you put the money, you're not going to have any value. That's where the crisis is coming. You're going to go up with all these cost of living increases, but you'll never keep up with the cost of living because the dollar is going down, the cost of living is going up. Our dollar today is worth 4 cents compared to the dollar of 1913 when the Federal Reserve took in charge of it. And if you don't deal with the dollar, there will be no retirement for anybody. We're going to have chaos. And that is why you have to cut spending. That's why we need a new foreign policy. We need to tie the people over here in this country, the people who are dependent, but we need to let the people get out, whether it's Social Security or medical care or education. The Constitution doesn't advise that we do any of that anyway. That's the only way we can solve the problem.
Vladimir Putin has announced just in the last 24 hours that he plans a new, quote, grandiose nuclear weapons program to counter the U.S. missile defense system. President Bush just recently described President Putin as wily. Are we headed back to a new Cold War, or has the Bush administration been naive in dealing with Mr. Putin?
This is a result of a foreign policy of interventionism. The founders advised non-interventionism, and even our president won the election in the year 2000 to have a more humble foreign policy, not to go into nation building and not get involved in internal affairs of other nations. And we won an election on that. But here we are, we're over there, and we've invaded this country, and this is just another unintended consequence. The war is spreading. The war is likely to go into Iran. Nobody's willing to take anything off the table. What would it be like if somebody came in here into Mexico and did some of the things, say like putting missiles in Europe? We're just looking for trouble. It's so unnecessary, and we jeopardize ourselves, and quite frankly, we're not able to afford this. So we don't need to go looking for trouble. We don't need another Cold War, and all we have to do is start talking to people and trading with people. We don't need to assume that the world is going to blow up. Just think of when I was drafted into the military, and I served 5 years in the military. The Soviets had 40,000 nuclear weapons, and here we're now worrying about agitating and putting missiles in Europe. It's the Turks' business. It's not our business.
I want to ask you a series of questions on no particular subject. These are simply questions I haven't had a chance to ask yet. Congressman Paul, I want to start with you. You have drawn some of the strongest reactions of any person on the stage, both pro and con, sir. When Ronald Reagan became a Republican, he said he hadn't left the Democratic Party, the Democrats had left him. Given your differences with the other gentlemen on the stage, has the Republican Party left you? Have these gentlemen left the Republican Party?
Well, I think in many ways they haven't followed our platform, and they don't follow the Constitution. So they're really not following a conservative viewpoint. Yes, I think in many ways we have become big spenders. Republicans are the big spenders. They're big government conservatives. They're part of the neoconservative movement. They've lost their traditions about traditional conservatism and the Constitution. We have benefited for so many years and decades by having a position of less use of force. Eisenhower won his election in 1952 by trying to clean up the mess the Democrats created in Korea. Nixon won in '68. We continuously won in taking this position of a more commonsensical foreign policy. Like I said, even George Bush won criticizing this interventionism, and now all of a sudden, just in this short period of time, we have accepted the Democrats' position on foreign policy, on entitlements, on deficits. I mean, we have lost our way. No, I think that the position of the Republican Party today has not fulfilled their traditions, and that's why we lost last year. And if we don't go back to our traditions and believe in the Constitution, limited government, personal liberties, and a foreign policy that's non-interventionist that won't bankrupt us so that we can defend this country, we can't even defend our own cities while we're prancing around the entire world.